We had heard from one of our board members. We had a AHC board meeting one night, and he let us know, he gave us this rumor that he had heard that what was then called Gates of Arlington was for sale, and that we should look into it. So naturally we did, and we came to learn that there were several large developers who were going after it, and one recently had gone to the county and had suggested that the county, requesting the county's support for them to demolish a great deal of the property, and so that they could build bigger buildings. There was some density, unused density available there, and the county had turned them down. They were not in favor of demolition there. They knew that there was that the properties were historic. They wanted to preserve them. There was also a sort of political issue coming out with respect to resident displacement, and that was in the past couple of years, Arlington County had lost about 5,000 affordable rental units. Most notably was the Arno Valley redevelopment that saw displacement of about 700 families. So there was the political winds were blowing very strongly in support of preserving the Gates of Arlington project. And so there was a number of county staff and some others who were convened in this working group trying to put together a proposal to select a developer to go ahead and redevelop the property and have the county's support and backing to do it. There was some interest in some of the folks at the county that AHC team up with a for-profit developer. At that time, AHC had about 25 or so years of experience, and maybe 1,500 or maybe a little bit more units to its name. So this project, the Gates project, being over 450, 460 some units, really would have been, was 25% of the size of our entire portfolio. It was a big project. So there was certainly some reasons that would suggest that we pick a partner, but we decided not to do that. We wanted to do this on our own. We felt that us going as the lead developer, we were going to be able to have a higher level of affordability of the real estate, of the apartments, both in the number of units that were affordable and then the term of that affordability. We also felt that we would be quite sensitive to the historic preservation credentials and requirements, and then lastly to the residents. It's a ethnically diverse community, and we knew that we could improve the number of families who'd be able to stay at the property. We submitted solely, put in our application, and there were the working group, again, county staff and local professionals who live in Arlington but who are involved in real estate, housing advocates. This group assessed the proposals and selected AHC to be that developer. There was still, that was not the end of that process, simply because there were other competitors working directly with the owners at that time. And these were large, what are called REITs, real estate investment trusts, who sell stock on Wall Street and get cash in and buy properties, and can move very quickly because they typically don't use debt, they use cash to buy properties. So we had to put together an application, a contract to the purchaser that was very advantageous, and really the way to do that was to make our price higher than what we had heard was the going figure. So we worked with the county, and we put that contract together. We had a very short due diligence period, but we were able to get to contract very quickly. The seller was practical in that they knew that the county held some cards, and the county was backing our proposal. So they wanted to move quite expeditiously and get this done. So they were willing to work with us. There were a number of issues that we had to overcome during this process. And one of the biggest ones was this is now let's call it May of 2002. At the beginning of that year, the owners of the property, who were based out of Texas, they put on what is called a REMIC, which is a type of mortgage which is rather complicated and has lots of conditions associated with it that don't allow additional debt to come onto the property behind it. Also have it's called expiration provisions that don't let you pay it off quickly. So what's called a lockout. So there was a lockout. We had to assume that mortgage. And so this developer out of Texas was they were a big developer. They had 15 or 20,000 units. So here we are with, let's call it 2,000 units. So how do we make Wall Street believe that we are as capable as this developer who owns 20,000 units? And we had some very good fortune come as part of that. A couple of the advantages that we had was that the county was very committed to affordable housing. There were, the political reasons that we talked about. The county believes, from an economic development standpoint, that it's good to have people living near where they work, and including low and moderate income families. The county backed this development financially. We had to bring in secondary debt in order for us to purchase the property. And the only way to do that was through a loan that the county made to AHC to buy the property, so that from that REMIC mortgage standpoint, there was no additional debt on the property. And then again, from a practical standpoint, just knowing the issues related to another displacement of residents was just going to be a tough thing for the neighborhood. One of the things that was essential for us being able to pull this off was being able to retain the residents. We had meetings with the residents, participated in lots of dialogue with them on building design and management issues. The property had really been run down. These, again, being an owner in Texas, they were an absentee landlord. And we had actually, between the time we purchased the property and had gotten through the steps necessary for the design and historic preservation approvals, that took almost 3 years. There's federal, state, and local jurisdiction related to this historic preservation process, and all the associated design and construction issues that went into it. So that took about 3 years, like I say. And so we had invested about $1 million just to fix the lights and keep the old boilers and everything running. But we were happy in that we retained about 40% of the residents. And in a renovation project of this size, it's quite common that in Arlington, the standard amount is about 30 or 35%. So in retaining 40%, it was a little bit better, but it's significant in that during that time, this is we're now getting into 2004, 2005. A lot of people were leaving to go and purchase homes. We had about 10% of the residents do that. We also, because we had that 3-year interim period, turnover in apartments in Arlington is probably about 30-40% per year. So the fact that we're able to work with the residents and hold on to as many as we did, we felt was an achievement in itself. So as we moved through the process, we kept them involved and working with us to get to the end, to get to the get through the renovation. But the part of what we called the four keys to us being able to get through this process and being able to acquire the property, some of those confluences that were very helpful for us. The mortgage holder was based out of Houston, but their attorney was in Washington, D.C. Coincidentally, he lived in Arlington. Coincidentally, he actually had been a volunteer teaching students, young kids, how to read at one of our after-school programs. So he knew about AHC. And so that was very fortuitous. There was another housing advocate who was part of the working group who lobbied quite strongly that because AHC is a nonprofit housing developer, that we would have the greatest impact in the level of affordability and being able to sustain the residents. So that was very important from his perspective. There was in this REMIC mortgage concept, there was a person from Freddie Mac who used to live here in Arlington, who was well known throughout the country in what's called the structured finance world, and he lives here in Arlington, or lived here in Arlington, and so his participation and he was part of this working group as well. He gave all of these Wall Street folks a lot of comfort that the county, that AHC, that this team behind the project would make it succeed. And so he was instrumental in getting these bondholders behind the project. And lastly, we had we had another member of this working group. He's a real estate developer, and but he's a real southern guy, just call him a good old boy, and he really calmed the owner. We had to get an extension just in dealing with some of these issues that we were having to address, and the owner really was, I got these other people, they can close in 30 days, and I just want to get this done. And John would just, he would just call them and kind of talk them down off the ledge and assure them that this was the way to go. And so we had these, again, these sort of people who all played a specific role that had a tremendous impact in how we were able to pull this project together. And in the end, we were very excited. We went to construction in 2005, summer of 2005, and finished the renovations in 2007. We built a new community center, really a tremendous asset. The county participates. They've had a resident program that's been running there, typically serving adults. That's so they have all new space, and we continue our resident services that are focused on children and youth. And we brought in a Montessori school that is a pre-K program there, and it's just been terrific. So the property's all leased up, and it's a mixed income property. It's mostly affordable, 75% affordable, but it's also market rate, 25% market rate, and it's just been dynamite. We're very excited too because the Trust for Historic Preservation actually awarded us one of their top awards, actually a national award, not a regional award, in 2009 for the preservation of the Gates of Ballston. And it had been built, Gates was part of the Buckingham community that was built in the 30s and 40s as affordable housing for people moving to the city, and the fact that we had kept it as affordable housing was really unique in their eyes, and so we were pleased to bring that award back to Arlington.